Good evening. Let's call to order the regular Heath City Council Meeting, July 8th at 6:30 p.m. If you'd all rise for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Sorry about that.
Our dearest Father in heaven, we are grateful as we gather before Thee this evening and come together as city leaders and citizens of this great city, that we are grateful to be able to live in such a safe, beautiful city on Thy earth, and we are grateful for the many blessings that abound each one of us. Bless us to be sensitive to the needs of those who live in Heath, that we might be able to be guided and directed to serve in their behalf. Father, we ask a special blessing at this time for those impacted by the recent floodings. Bless the families that have lost homes and the families that have lost loved ones, that they will be uplifted in spirit and body to withstand this trial. And bless those who are able to serve and help those, that they will be able to be Thy hands and to do Thy work of helping those in need. And we do say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman. Okay, moving into agenda item number 2, public comment section. Mr. Lasher, or Mr. Alexander. That was a slip up.
Goodness gracious.
I'm just checking to see if everybody else is listening.
Well done.
Thank you, Mayor. We have no one signed up to speak.
Very well. Moving into agenda item number 3. This is our council and city manager comments. Mr. Alexander.
Thank you, Mayor. I have just one comment to make, update for council. Our very own Logan Petty, who is at the back of the room, if you'll wave your hand. She has completed her certification to become a Texas registered municipal clerk. This program takes, it's a 2-year program requiring 200 hours of individual home study and online homework, examinations over 4 courses, and 8 2-day seminars. The coursework, the 4 courses I mentioned, include public management and administration, understanding the city and local government law, context of local government finance, revenue sources, local budget, budget cycle, public funds investment, and ethics, and lastly, motivation, public relations, supervision, and election laws. So congratulations to her for the completion of her certification.
We're going to now have you come up and speak. Just kidding. All right. Council, at this time, does anybody have any comments?
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to say it's a wonderful parade, and thank you for everyone that participated in that. All the hours of effort, and really paid off. It was a wonderful event. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilman Omi. Councilman Myers.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to say the same thing as basically what Mitch said, that special thank you to everybody that put in a lot of time. I think it was very successful, even though we had some weather we would thought that was going to damper, but it didn't damper the spirits of the city, of citizens of Heath for sure, because I think we had one of the bigger turnouts. And thank y'all for everybody on the events board.
Yep, agreed. Any other councilman? Yeah, I would echo that. What a great parade. We were honored to have our very own Sean Marion as a resident that came out, and he was in the parade. It was super exciting. All the different dignitaries that came in, super blessed to have such an involved city and have so many people come out. Also want to say a special thank you to some work that Chief Siri and his team has been doing. They've been collaborating with other cities, and Mayor McNeil has really led a good charge in McLennan Chisholm, and they're going to be doing a trip down to Kerr County tomorrow with a few different stops, that group, and thank you to the citizens that have given above and beyond to get them the materials that they've said that they've needed. So thank you, Chief, for all the work that you guys have been doing behind the scenes, and I know that you guys got a trip at 0500 tomorrow, so thank you guys for that. And our hearts do go out to those that were lost and those families, and we do want to continue to say prayers for them. All right, moving into agenda item number 4. This is our consent agenda, 4.A. This is action regarding the minutes of the June 4th, 2025 budget work session and June 24th, 2025 regular meeting. Council, I believe you've had time to review these materials, so at this time, the chair will open the floor to entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve consent agenda.
Okay, Councilman Obi to approve. Do we have a second?
I second.
Councilman Horn on the second. The motion moves. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, council. Moving into agenda item number 5, items for individual consideration. 5.a, discussion and action on accepting the annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024. Mr. Ayers.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before I have, we have Austin Henderson here from with Brooks and Watson, the entity that conducted the audit on the annual comprehensive financial report for FY24. And but prior to him getting up here, I want to address the SAS 115, just the internal control assessment that was conducted during the audit and our action plan moving forward, just to address those that were called out. So SAS stands for Statement on Auditing Standards, number 115. This is the communicating internal related matters identified in the audit. This is issued by the AICPA, the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, to establish requirements for auditors to communicate material weaknesses and significant deficiencies. And they highlight the areas for improvement, but they're not financial misstatements in the audit. And what I do want to call out is the audit received an unmodified opinion, which is a clean audit. No material misstatements were found. And for the FY23 audit that was submitted to the GFOA, we did receive the Certificate of Achievement for Excellency in Financial Reporting. These are the financial reporting adjustments. This is one of the findings that the auditors picked up during the audit. They recommended several adjustments after conducting the audit. A few journal entries. We reviewed those, and we're gonna be submitting those once you all approve and acknowledge the FY24 audit. What our plan moving forward is just to strengthen the end of year financial review procedures, and improve internal reconciliation process and closing processes, and provide additional training and oversight to reduce the auditor reliant entries that were conducted. So we have less of those moving forward. The bond proceeds tracking. When I first arrived here, I think it was around 2019, there were transfers being made out of the general and utility capital improvement funds from those bond investment pool accounts. And they hadn't been tracked since 2019, but I worked with the auditors to actually get that all cleaned up. But just moving forward, we're implementing a standard tracking schedule for all the bond-funded projects, and we're going to reconcile those regularly, which we have been doing since we started working with Brooks and Watson on this. And this is just an example of what we've been doing. We went back to 2019, looking at the 2013, 17, 19 bond issuances, and the unspent bond proceeds at the end of FY24. As you see, in 2017, you have roughly $1 million, and in 2019, there's $259,000 sitting there in those particular bond accounts. The improvement strategy, the way we're handling it now, that's different than has been done in the past. Whenever we issued the CL Series 2023 bond, we actually set up a separate bond fund tracking those expenditures. So just moving forward, it's just easy to track expenditures and revenues associated with the projects designated for those funds. Extra Town Center Park, the Public Safety Building, and the Public Works Facility. And then the pool cash monitoring, this is something that just got, I think it just, we overlooked it because of we had to work out of two systems, just trying to migrate over from Encode to OpenGov. But out of the 21 funds that we have, there were 3 that showed negative balances. Just moving forward, we're going to implement a formal policy for pool cash monitoring, just make sure that doesn't occur again in the next upcoming audits. And at this time, do y'all have any questions or comments for me before I allow Austin to come up before you and just review the FY24 ACFR with you all?
You mentioned there was going to be regular tracking of those. Will that be quarterly, or is there a time frame set up already for that?
Yeah, we're actually going to do that monthly.
Okay.
Just tracking that. We're going to do financial reports monthly. I've been working with Steve on that. The investment reports, they'll be out quarterly, and so we'll do a lot more reporting on all those. So.
Thank you.
Very good. Council, any other questions for Mr. Ayers?
One here.
Councilman Dodson?
Jay, this is a real complicated process, right?
Uh-huh.
With
Yeah.
all the major funds and then the individual line items. And to get a GFOA distinction is really telling
Yeah.
of your expertise and oversight.
Mhm.
So first of all, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I think, like, as I read through the individual, pages of the report, great job on pulling that together for us. I mean, just to really only have sort of the account balances with one being down at 0 and the other one being, or the other account balances being higher than, typically warranted and uncharacterized, if you will, sort of at the end of that period, is, really, those really aren't bad findings at all. So I was just really thoroughly impressed at how well everything ticked and tied. And, most of the things that are in there, I think, are really more transparency and reporting related, which I'm sure that you and Steve are going to get after.
Yeah.
So, well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
Very good. Councilman Omby?
Yeah, just one quick, so this ends September of 2024. Is that a pretty typical cadence that we'd see in?
Yeah. So.
In an audit?
Well, to answer your question, annual financial statements are due to the council within 180 days of the end of the fiscal year. That's under state law. Clearly, we're past that point. Typically, particularly for an organization our size, I would look to see our financials coming out to you in January or February. And that is what we're going to be working toward this next fiscal year.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions, Councilman? Okay. Mr. Ayers?
Okay.
Okay, so like Jay said, my name's Austin Henderson. I'm a CPA here in the great state of Texas. I live over in Fort Worth, so other side of town. My wife's from Rowlett, though, and I got engaged at the harbor in Rockwall, so I have an affinity for this side of town. So, all right, y'all. So I'm just going to hit the high points here. He's already been through the findings, so obviously if you want to ask me any questions about anything there, feel free to. At the end, I have a slide for questions. So just to give you all a quick overview, we kind of do the audit in 3 stages. There's the planning stage, so that's where we're coming in. We're looking at the approach that we're taking with the city. I believe we've worked with the city since at least 2015. I specifically worked 2021, 22 a little bit, did some interim work for 23. I didn't work specifically on 24, but I've worked with the city for several years. So definitely concur with that, the bond tracking. That's been something that we've kind of been hitting year after year, like, hey, we need to get a hold of this. And I think Jay and Steve are really taking charge with that. So I think that's going to be a lot better going forward. So the planning stage, we're just coming in, looking at where's the risk. I always like to remind people, we're not looking at every single invoice that the city gets. We're not looking at every payment that they make. It's very risk-based. We're sampling to make sure that the processes are good. And if the processes are good, then we kind of rely on that for some of our year-end testing. Obviously, we're going to test anything that's material to the financial statements. So that's where the field work comes in. We're getting our capital asset schedules, debt schedules, pension, all the fun stuff, and making sure that everything ticks and ties there. And then last step here is concluding and reporting, which obviously, I had a professor in college that used to say, auditors come in after the battle's over and shoot the wounded. And I'm like, I just keep that in mind because we're looking at way back. So if I say this year, I'm probably referring to October 23 through September 24. So just to give you a little, kind of caveat there. So these are all the components of the annual comprehensive financial report. I always say, keep this thing in your magazine, stash there because it's a lot of reading. It's, almost 200 pages, so a lot in it. There's the introductory section. I always like to point out here, the only piece that we really own is that opinion. That's what we're giving as the audit firm. The rest of it is the contents of the city. The management discussion analysis after the opinion is where the city kind of says, hey, here's what happened during the year, here's a comparison to fiscal year 23, and here's kind of our plans for the future. It's got that little budget section at the end of it, so kind of just a little bit of a chance for the city to tell the story of what's going on. Then you get into your basic financial statement. So government-wide, you've got full accrual, down fund level, governmental funds, you've got modified accrual accounting, which is, if you've got 4 hours, I can explain to you. So I'm sure nobody wants to hear that. Then we got the notes of the financial statements. So that goes into more detail as far as, like I said, those capital asset schedules, debt schedules, all that fun stuff. So then you've got your required supplementary information, other supplementary information, any information you want to know about the city. Last thing there is that stat section, so specific to what makes it a comprehensive financial report versus just an annual financial report is some of that supplementary information as well as that stats section. And the stats section is really in there to give you a comparison if you want to go pull the city of Rockwall or you want to go pull another city and compare, hey, what are some of the key factors, economic factors, things like that, that'll pop up in there. So. There's 4 possible outcomes as far as the opinion goes. We did have an unmodified opinion, as Jay said, which is the highest level of assurance that we can give to a city. And I want to point out the city did receive the GFOA Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting and for the 23 audit. And so that's just on a lagging basis. So you wouldn't get the 24 one until 25, as it goes. So good to see there. Definitely not every city that we audit. We audit a little under 70 municipalities in Texas, and not everyone gets that. So again, very good to see that. So just some real high points here. I want to point out this little blue bar at the top has which page in the report we're referring to. So if you want to, kind of go back through these slides later and look at the report, you can see that there. So total assets exceed total liabilities by $106 million. Good healthy number there. City had an overall increase in net position of $6.9 million. Governmental funds had a large increase, which, again, that is because of that modified accrual accounting. You recognize all your bond proceeds as revenue in the year that they're received, so that's why you see such a huge increase there. Unassigned fund balance in the general fund, which is just your assets over liabilities that aren't tied up in capital assets or anything like that, that's sitting at $5.2 million, or 54% of annual general fund expenditures. GFOA recommends about 2 months worth of general fund expenditures there, so y'all are sitting a little over 6 months, so that's a really good, healthy number there. Looking at some of the governmental activities specifically, so this is not water sewer, this is only general fund and other governmental activities here. Governmental revenues were up, well, I think it was a little under $5.5 million. There's a couple reasons for that. The market did better, so you got some more investment income. There's some new roadway impact fees, the NBC contribution. So there's a few things there that were kind of non-recurring that caused governmental revenues to increase. Property taxes make up 46% of your governmental revenue. So obviously that's why we're always very concerned about property tax and making sure that we're getting the rates right. And as you see values increase, you're going to see that increase as well. So. Sales tax makes up about 9%, grants contributions 20%, so you can kind of dig through those numbers there, and if you refer back to that MD&A at the front of the report, you can kind of compare it to 23 and see if there's, what were the increases, what were the decreases, and feel free to dig through and ask questions there. Looking at the expense side now for just, again, specific to governmental activities, total expenses were up about 8%, so Your largest expenses there, obviously public safety, you have to have police and fire, they have to be funded, so that's where you're sitting there. Actually, a slight decrease in total expenditures for public safety. And then general government was an increase. It looked like there was some, when I was looking through the report, there was some extra legal fees, extra special event spending, so that's why that general government number went up. It's not just those two things, but those are the two things that stuck out to me when I was just kind of flying through it. Public Works at 27%, so it's actually a pretty big decrease. A lot of these numbers can get skewed because we have a big swing in payroll expense a lot of times for the net pension liability and the net OPEB liability. You have to recognize all that expense or contra expense in 1 year. So this Public Works is a great example. Your budget probably didn't change a whole lot. Your actual dollars out didn't change a whole lot, but your expenditures decreased almost $800,000 because of just a change in the actuarial, the way that they're looking at the pension liability. So,
Timing.
yeah, a lot of big accounting swings there that aren't real dollars. So then kind of going into the governmental funds, I just wanted to high level look at these fund balance changes. General fund, you see the decrease, but a lot of that was planned transfers to the capital improvement fund. You see that big old, swing up in other funds. One of that is the new major fund being that certificate of obligation bond 2023 fund. So big increase there. That's otherwise typical. You want to see debt service stay fairly flat, which you do here. So moving on to looking at general fund budget actual. Both numbers are going the right way there. You see revenues exceeded budget, expenditures were under budget. So those are both good things. That causes you to have a good positive variance there. And again, just kind of those big red circles at the bottom, you've got a planned decrease of fund balance of 2.1 million. Your actual decrease was only 885,000. So you've got that positive budget variance there, 1.2 million. Looking at the proprietary funds, so water and sewer and solid waste funds, you see that big red circle there. Just good to see that there's income before transfers and contributions. What you don't want to see there is a big negative number, because that means you're not charging enough for your water and sewer, and you're probably supplementing it with property tax or sales tax or something, which you don't want to be doing, right? You want to be charging enough to make sure that you're funding current needs for your infrastructure as well as any future capital. So just again, that fund net pension liability, it's a big old number that swings year to year. You see kind of large increases in investment income there this year, last year, meaning these are based on calendar year basis too. So if you think back to how the market was doing in 2022, you see that big decrease there, and then that large swing up in 2023. So these fluctuate year over year. It's based on the way that the actuary looks at it. The things I did want to point out there at the bottom, those couple of bullets there, the funded ratio is going up, meaning that the city's funded 91% of this liability. So if every employee left and the city ceased to exist tomorrow, they'd be able to pay 91% out of that liability that exists. So that's what that means there. The average funding level for cities in 2023 was 77.8%. So again, beating the benchmarks, all good things there. I love these reports when they're good, right? Like these are no fun to do when it's like, oh, you're under benchmark by everything. So, and again, Jay already addressed the findings, but if you have any questions on any of those or any of the letters, definitely feel free to let me know. Also, my email's ahenderson@Brooks-Watson CPA. So if you got any questions, the partner, John Watson, he's obviously available as well. He had another event in Houston tonight, so he couldn't come up, but I think he's been up here the last few years. So definitely available for phone calls, emails, any time of year. It doesn't have to be related to the audit. So I'll open it up to y'all if you have anything.
Very well, thank you, sir. Council, at this time, do you have any questions for Mr. Henderson?
I've got a couple.
Councilman Dodson?
One of the findings was sort of a reconciliation of paid time off on kind of a go-forward basis. What type of impact do we expect that to have, and what'll be the real impact on the employees from a staff perspective?
So really it's an accounting change where you're just Right now, that compensated absence number really only includes vacation time, and going forward, they're gonna have to include sick time as well. So, I haven't looked specifically at y'all's policies and procedures as far as what that impact would be, so Jay might be able to speak to that a little bit better as far as number impact. But I don't have that off the top of my head.
Yeah, I have to share that with you. We've been accounting for that.
Yeah, it's
Mayor
kind
Pro Tem Dawson, that's related to a new standard that we're going
Right.
to start implementing this next year. And it's just basically, it will increase our liability for compensated absences that we carry on our government-wide financial statements. It really won't affect the fund financial statements. And so to answer your question as far as how to impact our employees, it shouldn't impact our employees. As to the amount of that liability, we haven't calculated that yet.
Right.
And so once we calculate that, we'll make sure council's aware of what that's going to look like on our overall financial statements for next year.
Okay, all right. No other questions for the presenter? I do have another question for Jay, but after the presenter's
Very well.
finished.
Council, any other questions? I was looking in here, I don't see the principal taxpayers sheet, so looks like somebody caught that. There were Rockwell's principal taxpayer sheets, just for Mr. Henderson in preparation for those. I do not have any questions, and if council doesn't have any questions, thank you, sir.
All right, appreciate y'all.
Very well. Mr. Ayers?
Okay, Jay, from an audit standpoint, that's certainly, retrospective, and a retrospective analysis. On the prospective side, obviously, property tax comes in pretty significant for a city like ours, for all cities, right?
Yeah.
So with Heath not putting very many houses on the ground, less than 50 or 60 on average over the last 5 to 6 years, as per plan. But with that combined with the senior tax freeze and an aging population in our city, what do you feel as though the net impact of both of those numbers will be on us on a go-forward basis?
Oh, man, it's over the last few years, it's been significant, because like last year, you had roughly 750 million under the freeze. This year, it's more like 950.
Right.
So, I mean, this, as your population, as the citizens here age out and they reach that number, it could be significant over time. It's like a balancing act, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, just from an overall city cash flow perspective, as I look at the P&L for the city, we've got property tax, we've got, sales tax here as well, right? And if on the property tax side, we're capitated by the mix between senior opt-outs on the senior tax freeze, and that's further exacerbated by us putting fewer and fewer houses on the ground, again, per plan, comp plan, and everybody's wishes, et cetera, and combine that with really kind of a lack of sales tax, you find yourself with a dramatically increasing expense line. Exactly. Because everything's getting more expensive, as we know, even on the capital project side, and a decreasing revenue line. And anybody that's ever run a business, when you're like that, you're out over your skis and you're upside down.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you're working with the voter approval rate that's continuously decreasing, from year to year. So, in order to get above, get those significant increases in property tax revenue, then you have to go to an election. So, I mean, if it passes, good, but if it doesn't, then you go back, down to the voter approval rate. So,
well, from my perspective, this budget cycle is critical. Last year's was important. This year's even more critical because we see what the lack of available funding for capital infrastructure does for a city like ours. And a city like ours has relatively high expectations.
Exactly.
And Steve knows that very well from his Highland Park days. But Heath is no stranger to high expectations.
Exactly.
So in order to be able to afford the types of services that we would like to have, and good roads and everything else, those things cost. And I just want to make it real clear that our revenue line and the overall receipt of funds is going in the wrong direction.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right.
Agreed. And that's why it's so critical that we have a 10-year, 20-year financial plan, which
Yeah.
is something we are going to be working on. I mean,
Right.
as the council knows, we're in the middle of putting the budget together. That's just
Right.
1 year.
Right.
That does not tell the story,
Right.
right? Or at least doesn't look out to the future to see what the story might look like. But to answer your question, we will be looking at that number and calculating what's going to happen with that property tax and the largest source of revenue, at least on the governmental side. You know, we have to fully understand what's going to happen with the tax freeze numbers and what that's going to do to us over time with regards to our property tax rates. We'll be projecting all that out
Right.
and have some sense of it at least. Can't read the future, but you can at least take a good scientific guess at it, and that's what we'll be focused on.
Great. Thanks, Stephen. Thanks, Jay, very much.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you, guys. Councilman, any other questions for Mr. Ayers? I agree, and thank you. I know it's a lot of work you and your team go through. I do look forward to us pulling that timeline a little bit closer, right, into the new year when you wrap your fiscal year. To echo on Councilman Dodson, you are correct. There is compression due to the elements that you described. We do have some offsets, obviously, with property valuations that have increased, but we're not sure what that's going to look like. So when we do look at a 10-year modeling, that's hopefully going to help us, because we do need to look at, when we do have this level of compression, okay, what's property assessments going to look like? I mean, fundamentally, we can go backwards and look at some of that, because we have seen some tightening this last year. Not a lot. For some of us, we'd like to see more, until you actually get into these types of budgets and you go, oh my goodness. So, and then also looking into the sales tax and the franchise local tax, you know, it's a small bucket in comparison to really where you generate the vast majority in your property. So we've got to be looking at, again, it goes back to things, for those in the audience, what we've talked about in our budget workshops is unique revenue generation and collaboration on that, so we can take some reprieve off of the residents in some ways. So very, very important stuff, and thank you guys. I know it's a lot of work, and thank you to the council. I know it's a lot of work doing a lot of digesting of all of this audit, and I look forward to more meetings as we plan for this budget. Because we've got a lot of financial obligations that we've got to look at. I know that on one side we look at property tax, and we also have the other side, and that's the enterprise side. And we've got a lot of infrastructure that we've got to address, and so we're going to be looking at what that's going to do with our utility rates. So looking forward to that, and I know it's a lot that's going to be coming down the pipeline, and thank you to the auditors for your hard work. Appreciate it. Okay, very well. Do we have any further questions, council members? Okay. At this time, the chair will open the floor to entertain a motion. Thank you, Mr. Ayers.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion.
Okay, and the motion is?
Make
to
a motion, we
adopt.
receive and acknowledge the annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2024.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Councilman Ownby.
I will second it.
We have a second by Councilman Thurgood. Motion moves. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, passes unanimously. Thank you, council. Moving into agenda item 5.b, this is discussion and action regarding resolution number 250708A, appointing directors to the Club Municipal Management District Number 1. Ms. Norman.
Okay, the CMMD is the Club Municipal Management District Number 1, is a special district that governs and facilitates the construction and maintenance of Heath Golfing Yacht. The district is governed by 5 directors who serve staggered terms of 4 years each that expire on May 31st. The board of directors must own property in Heath Golfing Yacht and must be citizens of Heath. The district interviews the applicants at their meetings, and their president has recommended Cody Baker and Mark Gonzalez as ex officios to the CMMD. Tonight, we're here to approve the resolution stating this.
Very well. Thank you, Ms. Duncan. So as you've heard, Mark Gonzalez and Cody Baker have been brought forward. This is in our agreement for this MMD that's been in existence for a number of years, and we actually do the final appointment as the city council for the city of Heath. Are there any questions that you may have, Councilman? If there are no questions.
Typically, do we receive any of their CVs or backgrounds or anything else, or they just come forward
We
with
do,
names?
we receive the applications at the same time that we submit
Right.
our applications, we receive theirs as well. And
Right.
we make the recommendations. I check to make sure that they're actual citizens, as well as they own the property and not just renters. And then they do the interviews and then recommend somebody.
Gotcha. So I see on the recommendation here, Norma, that staff does recommend that we move
Correct.
forward and approve these two.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I needed to hear.
All right. Any other questions, Councilman? Okay, at this time, the chair will open the floor to entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the two directors for the Club Municipal Management District Number 1.
Very well. Motion on the floor is to approve the resolution number 250708A, appointing directors Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Baker to the MMD number 1. Do we have a second?
I'll second, Mr.
Okay.
Mayor.
All right, we have a second by Councilman Myers. Motion moves. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, council. Moving into agenda item 5.c, discussion and action on resolution number 250708B, establishing a finance and audit advisory board for the city of Heath.
Okay, Mayor and Council, this is the resolution for establishment of the Finance and Audit Advisory Board. Just while we're creating this board, enhances financial transparency, ensures the public and council have deeper visibility into the city's finances, strengthens oversight, adds an extra layer of review on budget and audit and financial policies, leverage financial expertise. This is a good one. We can tap into the skills of residents with a background in finance and accounting and investments. Just getting that extra layer of knowledge from the community. Support long-term planning, which is very essential for the city of Heath. Guides decision-making on capital projects, debt management, and financial sustainability. And most of all, just increasing public trust. Just demonstrating our commitment to accountability, sound fiscal management, and community involvement. The board's responsibilities, that's outlined in Exhibit A. They'll be reviewing financial reports and audits. They'll evaluate the city's monthly, quarterly, and annual financial reports, assisting in reviewing external audit findings and internal control improvements, advise on budget and policy, just providing input on our annual budget, fiscal policies and financial planning, recommending updates to fund balance, investment and debt policies, and just supporting capital and debt planning, as discussed earlier, and promoting accountability and compliance. This is just keeping up with GASB and those changes associated with GASB, and just making sure our compliance, we're executing our compliance efforts, and just alignment with the strategic and financial goals, and just also enhancing community engagement, serving as a liaison between residents and the city council on fiscal matters, because I know a lot of times, citizens might have questions in that area, and just helping explain the financial data and decision-making to the public. It's just the board structure and operations. The financial and the finance board, it will consist of 6 citizen members and 1 city council member. Citizens must reside in Heath and have financial experience. The mayor appoints the chair and the council confirms. Officer serves 2-year terms and meet at least quarterly. Special meetings as needed for audits, compliance, and major items. And we have to follow the Texas Open Meetings Act. And staff will assist with providing agendas, materials, and any additional support that the board may need. And our recommendation is approval of the resolution to establish the Finance and Audit Advisory Board.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mr. Harrison. At this time, council, do you have any questions for staff?
So Jay, on this, would, since the mayor is appointing the chair for this, would the mayor by default be the city council member or serve as ex officio? Or how does that work?
The mayor could, or unless he, or whoever he designates on the city council, or who the council decides to sit on that board.
Yeah, and I would make a recommendation too that, and obviously that is a conceptual, because what you have in front of you is a resolution in which establishes if you see section 3, the provision of this resolution shall be implemented immediately upon adoption. The mayor and the city manager are authorized to take all necessary steps to initiate the board's formation. So essentially, we can vote on the resolution and then kind of retweak some of these elements. One thing that I would recommend is that it's a seven-person citizen body. Probably not having a liaison would probably be more ideal. I would also recommend too, I believe most of the boards are self-appointing of their chair and vice chair. So I'd probably make that recommendation.
Yeah, I think that's a good call.
Yeah. But I will say, and thank you, Mr. Ayers, and thank you, Mr. Alexander. This is something that Mr. Ayers and I talked about a year ago, and the idea of doing this, and very much excited to see this, materialize, because I do believe that it's a great accountability piece. It's a great functioning piece. We've got really amazing residents that this has been their career, and so having them as able bodies to put their expertise at play for the city, I think is great. And Councilman Dotson, you and I have talked about this at length too, and so I'm very excited that we're sitting here today and we're talking about this and seeing this this day has been a long day coming. So thank you guys for your hard work on that. Councilman Thurgood?
I have a question. How are we going to recruit the best and the brightest to join this council?
Yeah, the good news is that we just opened up for the last month or so. We've had it open for all of our boards, and so we've had a number of applicants that we've been doing interviews with for really all of our boards, and we also applied the thought that this board is potentially going to come forward, and so we kept that in mind as we were doing those interviews, and we were very, very, very fortunate the caliber of individuals that applied.
Excellent.
Very good. Great question.
Okay.
Any other questions, Councilman?
Mr. Mayor, I would just say that having sat on those interviews, that it was really an extraordinary number of highly qualified people. Not that you wouldn't expect that in the city of Heath, but especially that they were going to move forward and help us as volunteers on these committees. And, really a very difficult job to slice and dice and move people where they need to be. But I think we've got a handle on a really good committee here. And through those discussions that we sort of went a little bit deeper, talking about the Finance and Audit Advisory Committee, I think it became clear to me that we really didn't need a council member liaison either, that if we're going to have a 7-board member, I think that it should be 7 citizens. So that would be my add to that.
I agree. Very good. And and as you will see on that resolution, they're an advisory board, right? So they serve at the pleasure of the council, much like our other boards. And so it's not an executive committee that has oversight as far as authority, but they will be advising and working with staff, but also advising the council. So,
good.
All right. Any other questions?
Mayor, I might just offer, if council is going to consider approving the resolution, you might just make that one modification to say 7 individual citizens. I don't think that necessarily rules out a council member can't sit on it, because you are citizens, but the idea being if you want it to be 7 individual citizens, maybe just go ahead and put that change in the approval so we wouldn't have to possibly come back later and make that modification.
Very well. And as far as the self-appointing chair and vice chair, I believe that falls in alignment with our other boards.
Is that right, Norma? Yeah, follow the boards and commissions policy.
I attached I gave that to you guys later.
Okay.
That's the policy.
Let's take a quick look at, if everybody wants to look at the board and commission appointment policy real quick. This was just given to you right before the meeting.
Apologize, Mayor, for that not being in your
No,
packets.
it's okay, no worries. Are you seeing the self-appointments of the chair and vice chairs?
I'm not, but I think that that should be included in the motion.
Yeah. Appears to be silent.
Silent to the top?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, well, very well.
Mr. Mayor, I'm prepared to make a motion.
Yeah, then it may not even be necessary to identify, but I don't know, I think it would be a good idea. Very good. Council, if you're up to speed on that document, then I believe we're good. The chair will open the floor to entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
Make a motion, we approve Resolution 250708B with two amendments. One, that the 6-citizen, 1 council member be modified to 7-citizen committee. And number 2, that the committee have self-appointing chair and vice chairs.
Very well. We have a motion on the floor as stated. Do we have a second?
I second.
All right, we have a second by Councilman Dodson. The motion moves. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you,
Thank you.
Council. Very exciting. Thank you, Mr. Ayers. Thank you, Mr. Alexander. I know you worked diligently on that. Moving into agenda item number 6, this is our executive session. In accordance with the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Subchapter D, the City Council will recess into executive session. This is a closed meeting to discuss the following. 6.A, Section 551.071, consultation with the attorney on the matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter regarding wholesale water purchase contract between City of Rockwall and the City of Heath, Texas Open Meetings Act requirements, and Texas Public Information Act requirements. 6.B, Section 551.071, consultation with the attorney regarding pending or contemplated litigation or settlement offer regarding North Texas Municipal Water District versus City of Heath, cause number 1220704, and 6.C, Section 551.072, deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property for the City of Heath owned property located at K&K number 2, Block K21, Lot 1A-R, acres of 0.87, Heath, Texas 75032. We are now in executive session at 7:18. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.